is it?
It tells me it's so.
Welcome guys, I'm Matty Mum, and today we're doing JAZZAS Illustrator Mushroom Box. So we have a guest star plushie. We've got Jinxie the Bengal tiger. He's got my son's first hat on. It's one of my favourites. No, it's not my husband's, it's his, but it's not, it's been kidnapped. He sits on top of my printer, so therefore must be mine. And we have Batman on my Batman, but my husband's apparently put him in a judgmental position over Christmas. Christmas Grinches. So, but we don't care because we're having no Grinches today because we're doing JAZZAS box, and I've been excited, and I have amazingly managed to not draw with any of these pens since it came on Thursday. Here is 3 days ago, which is very reframed. Very reframed of me. I have though opened the box and had a quick peek. So let's have a look at this box. I'll show you how the box looks here, and then let's have a look at the box. My box, not your box. Oh, this is the box from the outside. Beautiful design and a very weighty box too. So, and let's have a look. So let's see what's inside this box. Right guys, so we're going to open this properly. We're not counting this as me saying it we're on the flip side, by the way. We're kind of cheating because we're doing an opening bit first. So this is the lovely collection. Ooh, and now I can't even open things. Get off mine. He's our little mascot. So we have a lovely little thank you from JAZZAS, which gives us some discount, which is really nice, and tells us a bit of information, and so which is really nice, and tells us why he's picked to work with Spectrum Noir. Now, I will say they're not my normal markers, and I haven't worked with Spectrum Noir markers before, but markers are a tool that I work with nearly every single day. So, and illustration is what I do. So I am actually really interested to try these out. And I'm very intrigued to see if I actually agree with JAZZAS to whether these are cool. So, second, we have the moustaches. Now, I've seen these, and I saw the original interview where he actually asked for them. So we're going to put the first moustache on this picture of JAZZAS here. Moustache, beard and moustache. Because obviously he now has one, because he's looking all more grown up in his thing. How does that look? Very cool, JAZZAS. My husband's not allowed a beard because I don't like beards. But that's not the point. I don't like beards on you. But he has got one, and I guess it's his choice. I don't like kissing people with beards. I don't kiss JAZZAS. I kiss you. So this is our set of pens, 26 piece. And no, we'll keep the box here. And let's have a look and open it. So 26 piece. Now the idea of this was you could use it to make any piece of art you want. Now this is one part where I'm a little sceptical of, because I use colours, lots of them. And I'm looking over my pen display over there and looking at the like over 100 colours I have, that I access most of them in all my work. And I'm intrigued to see if I can make a piece of art using only 26. There is a good colour match system. You've got colours that go with each other, like green and a lighter green, but then I'm seeing the fact that there's no yellowy greens and no the lightest grey. There is a really good light grey, but there's no bluey grey. And I use those colours to, like the lemon he's got there, he used that in his video to make the really soft work, which I do use in my Christmas collection. But I also use blues to make cool tone works, and I use greys if I'm making very muted works, and I use purples to make very light purples to make very crisp, some winter tones. But I can use the blender to actually soften those tones out. So I'm going to see how well that works for me, and I'm very intrigued about that. And I'm also very intrigued about the challenge of it, and the challenge of working with a smaller set than I'm used to. So, and the colour choices are actually to say they are made to work together as a complete set, they are actually very well compiled. You can make most pieces, and the piece of art I have in mind, which is to go alongside my Christmas series. And trust me, I picked the most complicated piece of my series so far to go with it, which is one of my wildlife series, but it's not having just one of the characters in it. It's going to be one of the bigger ones, and it's going to be kind of cool. Now, as I've just said, when we're doing Christmas art, he's provided everything we need. So we've got Bristol board, which is, as anyone that's been following my channel on Instagram or on here knows, this is what I work with. This does feel like exceptionally good quality Bristol board. Anyone that doesn't work with markers, this is the top standard card for blending. If it's something you wish to get into at any point, this is what you want for not having bleeds in your artwork and for doing your blending work. Now, Jazza did just do a tutorial on how to actually work with markers, and since this is his set, I'm going to recommend you to go over to him. But there are many good tutorials out on YouTube, so I do recommend going to look into them. He's also provided colouring papers, which I'm going to have a quick flick through. I am going to do one of these for Instagram for you guys, and I will do a piece after Christmas where I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to trace both of them onto Bristol board, do one using his Spectrum Noir set and one using my Uppbeat markers, but complete open range as I normally draw, and see how they work out. And I think that could be quite interesting. So that'll be after Christmas. Let's have a look at a few of these, because there is a lot of pieces of artwork here. That's a cool dragon. He could be cool to do. But there's work from all over all over his career. So I'm going to do it, transfer the piece, because even though these lines are just very dark lines to work with, and I think by transferring it, I would give it a lot more equal chance to work. That would be a nice one to work on. I'm going to put a copy of these. Oh, I think there's a copy of all of these on Jazz's webpage. So if any of you want to vote on which one you want me to actually do, the Spectrum Noir versus this, go over onto his webpage and let me know. Then we have his pencils, which are blendable artist pencils, which I've spoken to you about before. Now, you know I use pencils on top of my markers. These I'm going to also be using to redo my octopus piece I did recently, to show you the difference of working with high quality pencils. That again will be after Christmas, so but watch out for it. We have a very important rubber. I told you recently how when I was playing with a very low quality rubber it felt very different. This is very clearly not. Two pencils, which you know both of you guys that I sketch with 2B and HB, which are very standard items. I tend to work with 2B pencils or mechanical pencils when I'm sketching. Both very useful. And then we have very important, which are the sketch pens. Now, I've been highly looking forward to trying this brush pen that he's been showing off, because I tend to use Tombow, and it'll take a lot to make me consider changing over. So yeah, before we go anywhere, we have some more tiny little faces to cover up with mustaches. Beards, sorry, I'm getting told off by the husband. So let's have a look. We have one on here. I've just had my mascot stolen, guys. Michael, mascot is... Give him back. Give him back. We have another one here. Oh, he's got his face has not got a covering. He needs another one on. Let's make sure he looks like he does now. And where's the final one? It'll be on the pens, which are here. Oh no, I did the pens. I've just got a spare. 1, 2. 1. Did I do this outside of the box? Nope. So I've done all the faces. Aha! I found it. It's not a spare. There's a Jazza there too. And one of the things is this illustration here, by the way, which I actually did one of these to enter the competition. That's actually on my Facebook page. I spent a long time doing that, and it turned out rather cool. It was, yeah, nearly a week. It was a digital piece of art, and it's one of my prouder pieces of art that I ever did. So yeah, go check it out. So, oh, I've just read the pencils were graphite pencils. That's actually really cool. So yeah, that's where I stand on this, and that's one of the pieces of art I've got to go forward on this. I'm super looking forward to working with it. I'm working with these pieces as a whole. I already use pencils and markers in my day-to-day work, so I'm giving you a review as someone that actually is an illustrator, so hopefully that'll be interesting to you guys. And I'm going to be illustrating from a current series I'm running over Christmas. As I said, one of my other big stresses is not being able to use the other lighter tones, just having the yellow, which I'm going to make a point of actually trying to soften the tones and do a different style piece with it as well. Some of these will just be on YouTube and Twitter, so do watch out. I'll be making a note of JAZZAS Studios, etc. on it if I'm doing work based on these pieces. And my husband's giving my mascot a Jazza face sticker. Isn't that lovely? Let's not put it on his face, the poor mascot. You can have a Jazza sticker. There we go, guys, for this. Right, guys, so I am exceptionally tired today as I'm recording the downward selection for this. You're going to get probably a lot of crazy, and it is tired. It's not been drinking, because I actually tend to drink because of the amount of medication I'm on from, like, my health issues. So please do bear with the tiredness and the craziness. Tired and Asperger's and everything else don't tend to always go together well. But we're going to actually have a proper look in this box, and we're going to be doing a lot of swatching, a hell of a lot of swatching, starting with these beautiful markers, which right now are confusing because they're upside down. It's very confusing. I'm sure by the time you see them, they'll be the right. No, they won't be the right way around, because that's just never going to be sensible, because I won't be drawing the right way around them. You see what I mean by tired brain? This is what we call blending paper, and it's very thin, not generally that useful to draw on. However, for blending, it's... Oh look, I have done it wrong. Yeah, but for drawing, it's absolutely ideal. Now, these crates, let's get them out, and they're spilling because I actually do work on an angle, even though I'm working on a desk that is made for mobility. I found one that worked well for being an artist with a lifting tray, which, trust me, is very, very, very hard to find things that work as an artist but still worked as to function for you when you're disabled. But I found a cool one. He did not build this. My husband said why he builds things. He did build a lot of my area, things around my area, and as I said, I will do a tour one day. So these are Spectrum Noir pens that JAZZAS included, and they clip together. You can see these two trays. They are also compatible with the rest of the trays that I've used in the past and shown you in the last video, which I am so grateful for. It means they stack straight onto my normal stacks. So useful. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot of swatching over the next few minutes. So I'm just of pens and then the pencils. So I'm going to let you see all the swatching and talk to you at the end about what the swatching means. But let me just quickly say why I love the fact that these have a fine nib as well as the brush. Oh, it makes it so much easier when you're doing fine colouring work. And I am so grateful for this. But yeah, let's go forward. And so, yeah, I'm not talking over loads of swatching. Swatching is not the most exciting thing to watch. So I do just want to comment about these pencils. Now these pencils are some of my favourite pencils that I've actually worked with so far. I have told you so many times about hating pencils that don't blend really easily, that they have one of the core markers about a pencil being really cheaply made is that they've got filler. Sorry, that kind of me missing words, by the way, is me having fogs or microstyle seizures. Sometimes as well, it's part of my chronic illness, and it's going to just happen whenever you're watching me. So I'm not going to edit them out because it's part of me, and it's just part of having this kind of illness. So I do apologise for them, but yeah, there you go. But yeah. These are beautiful pencils and they blend like a dream. They've got a wax core, which is one of the best styles for using for, well, doing work over things like markers. And yeah, I absolutely fell in love with them the second I put them on paper. I could tell the difference. Now I use generally, because I just do work over markers, I've worked with oil base over markers before, and I've worked with Derwent and Riley, which have made some really nice ones that have a wax core, and they're one of my primaries in all fairness. But these ones, they are good and really comfortable to be using, and they blend really nicely. And they're called blending pencils, so that's probably why. Now, I haven't got cotton bud out to do the blending properly, and people are going to tell me off for that. That's because I don't work with pencils on making full pieces of art. I am going to try and do that to recreate this one here, and I'll have my cotton buds out and I will try and do it properly. I would get blending sticks, cotton buds, everything, and try and follow all the rules of colouring pencils using this set. And you can tell me off if I get it completely wrong. But yeah, let's continue. So guys, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to be doing each part of a drawing that I have prepared, or haven't prepared, I'm doing at this point, that I've designed purposefully for this YouTube video. And after I've drawn each bit, I'm going to talk to you about what I think of the tools that I used and how they were to actually do an illustration, I've been doing a series based on animals at Christmas, usually with one animal based on it. The animals get given names, which of course they're going to get names here. The names in this are related to a really cool group of friends that I made online that are linked to Tippy Tappy, and a group that he set up. He's an ASMR artist, and they became a great support for me during lockdown. So, this, by the way, is a massive thank you to a lot of them, because the core idea of the giraffe that's putting the star on became from a brainstorming within that group as well. Now, I'm picking a purposefully complicated picture because I want to see how far I can push these, and I personally work with a large amount of pens, so I want to see if I can make this work still within my style over this period of time. So I'm going to, as I said, come and talk to you at the end of each, and we'll go from there. Right, well, the pencil pretty much, I used the 2B by the way through this. It's one of my favourites to be using if I'm not using a technical. The pencil and the rubber pretty much performed as you'd expect a pencil and rubber to perform. You can see I like to draw my drawings like this style very light. That's because they don't leave too many marks on your board if you need to rub out. It's very easy to correct, and I've got a very light grip on that pencil to allow me to do that. If you actually want to get into illustration work, make sure you do have a grip that is exceptionally light, that allows your wrist to actually move really, really softly on the paper. It allows you to make these corrections as you're going, and it is okay to be using that eraser, as you see me using here, to be making those constant little corrections till you've got things just right. So let's move on to the inking work and the pen. Okay, so the brush marker is the one I use as my core pen, although I did use a couple of the fine liners. Oh my goodness, this pen was beautiful to use. I think it might become one of my favourites. Inching out the Tombow is hard. I do use Unipin fine liners for some of those lighter lines generally, but it was so beautiful, especially for colouring in some of those some of the bits that needed doing, like the hoofs on the giraffe. But I had so much control while using this pen, and that was wonderful. There was no little accidents or slips. It was honestly an absolutely wonderful tool to be working with. The next thing I like to do if I've done an inking work, so sorry about the shaking here because I'm mounted to the table, although you can see we are getting better film overall because of the new system, is rub out any of the pencil lines that are showing. So if you are doing work like this, now you've got your inking lines all over the top you're working on the Bristol board, which by the way, so far so good. This Bristol board is working as I expect Bristol board to work. It's taking my ink work down. It's good quality and I'm comfortable with it. I work with Bristol board nearly every day, so it's a material I'm used to as well. But get those pencil lines off. This rubber also working. It's a high quality one. Sorted. So this is an important part before you get onto the marker work. Now, as I said, markers, I've been a little bit anxious that I only have 20 to work with. Oh, no, it's 25, I believe, not 20, because it was 26 piece set. Or could it be 24, including the two boards, I think. Either way, I have a lot less than my usual collection, but these markers mix with each other. And that's kind of cool. So let's see what I can create. I'll talk to you at the end of the marker work. Right, so these markers were beautiful markers, first of all, but I have nothing wrong. The thing you see on the left, by the way, is the blending sheet. It allows me to check the colours, how they're going to work, and so forth. I use them in every piece of work, but I wanted to show you it out today. But these markers, they went on really smoothly. They have about a mid flow rate, I'd say. They're not as fast as the ones I'm used to. That means you've actually got a lot more control. I actually like the higher flow rates, but I do like the control of these. There's something nice about that. Yeah, so one of my issues was the amount of paint, or the amount of markers I had. For the Christmas scenes, have done the soft yellow glow, which Jazza did actually talk to us about doing that with the yellow glow over on a marker tutorial somewhere this month. I've lost track. I've been doing that Advent all month, which this is part of. That's brilliant because it's one of my styles, but I also do like purple, like grey. Now, I wanted to see if I could soften the purple enough. Yes, enough for my shadows and the snow effect, kind of. If I was using it as a lighting hue, it would be a little harder. The blue, I think I could. The grey, yeah, I could do it to the grey because I managed to do it on the wolf. The other issues I had were the paper isn't bleed proof. I managed to had a lot of issues with bleeding at the top of the wolf, where I was lightening some of the tones around the top, and I managed to push it back. One of the cool things you can do with markers is if you have got bleeding, you can actually use the colourless marker to push back. However, it didn't go all the way, but this is still exceptionally high quality Bristol board, and when it comes to it, all have some level of issues. This range though, the difference in what I'd want for colours, I think that's a personal Illustrator choice, not a Jazza's made a mistake choice. I think it's a style choice and a stylisation, because there's only 2-3 colours, I was talking it through with my husband, that I would have added, and a couple that I would have taken away, and that comes down to different artists liking different things. Overall, in fairness, when it comes to the quality of these markers and how they work and how they interact with each other, it's very hard to fault them. I managed to make a really cool skyline, which unfortunately isn't showing off. Hopefully we can zoom in to show you that has some Northern Light style effects, and it shows really well when photographed, but it's got the greens and the blues and the purples within the blacks. Now, it's really hard to actually do that with markers, but it works. Have you paused it? Oh, sorry, I thought my husband had paused the thing there. My apologies. But it worked, and I'm so proud of that. And it worked filming, doing around the stars. They are cool, and they're a set of markers I am really happy to add to my collection. So there is going to be a little bit of a gap between using markers and going on to pencils, because there was an issue with filming. Just to warn you guys, there is nowhere near as much content on pencils as there should be. This, by the way, is one of the lightening techniques. This is me going over with the blue, which is a lighter shade, to soften those tones, to make colours that I didn't originally have, to get those shadows, stretch those shadows, then use the colourless marker just to pale them out a bit and get me the tones that I wanted, that I'm used to having. And it shows that even if a colour and a shade and a tone isn't in a box that you expect or you want, it doesn't mean you can't find a way to get it. And these markers are such high quality, they allow you to play around on that level, which, yeah, that says it all. So brilliant. So your pencils you're bringing in to add the last minute touches. Why that screen is shaking so much, I have no idea. That's super weird. I must have just set it up on Octet. But you see how by adding certain colours over the top, you manage to enhance how a piece looks and deepen all of it and make it look more 3D. So I'm managing to deepen those shadows. I've gone in between all the branches on the tree just to make them look like they're popping and adding more oomph to them. And going across the entire piece like this with pencils has just allowed me to add these extra textures and extra layers to the piece. Pencils just give you this extra bit of pizzazz, and they're beautiful and fun to work with, and they are, as I said, I think they just bring a full piece together. Always when you're adding these extra layers, be fully aware where your light source is. So the moon obviously here is my light source, so work out what that will do to your shadows, how that's going to make your shadows interact, which one's going to be longer, which one's going to be shorter, how they're going to come down like the elephant straight down. You've got your giraffe, how there's going to be more, where your light's actually going to be showing, where you're going to have those glows, what kind of glow. As I said, I've been working with these yellow hue glows over Christmas, but sometimes I actually go purposely for glows within the blues and greys and purples, because the style of glow gives a different impact to your art. Yellow gives you a very warm vibe, very inviting, perfect obviously for Christmas art. And this piece of art was me pushing my skills, well, pushing myself to show off this box as a whole. Anyone that wants to try become an illustrator, push themselves further as an illustrator, or just get this as a Christmas present because they love art, it's a perfect present. And the stuff in this box, it is high quality. I have nothing bad to say. They're all things that I would use in my day-to-day work and will continue to use. None of this stuff is stuff that I would throw away or let my kid near, which always is a good test. So I would fully recommend JAZZAS Pro illustration box. And as I said, I've got other videos planned, including comparing the markers towards my own markers in a battle of supplies, so to speak. So if you liked this, press like. Obviously, subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. We were the tiniest little channel on YouTube, but we're really cosy and cute. So come and subscribe and click that notification bell. Merry Christmas to everybody watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye. Oh, stay safe and well. Got my outro. Bye.